One stands out. The extraordinary footage of an American Airlines jet slicing through the #2 tower of the World Trade Center. That image was captured by 40-year-old freelance cameraman Evan Fairbanks, who had been working 2 blocks away.
I suddenly saw a white flash from the left side of the frame, and it lasted long enough for me to be able to identify it as a jet.
When you saw that plane hitting the Trade Center tower, could you actually fathom what you were viewing?
Not at all. It was very surreal. I felt like I was in another dimension, and we weren't even on the same planet. I guess as the human stories start to emerge, and we see more people and we hear more names, it'll become a lot more real to me. But right now, I feel like I'm still in the bubble of the day, and the whole experience is just kind of numbing.
Fairbanks has been a cameraman for 16 years, but today he wasn't operating on experience. It was instinct. And that's what drew him back for one last shot. That's when the tower began to collapse.
I was looking in the viewfinder, and I just saw this reverse mushroom cloud billowing down, and I realized my proximity, and immediately just turned and started running north.
But for Evan Fairbanks, this is the image that will haunt him and us for the rest of our lives.
The image of that plane just coming out of nowhere, coming into the frame, and disappearing into the south side of the tower, as if a floor had been hollowed out and it was a hangar that it was just landing in. We've seen these images in movies, and we know that it's all artificial, and Hollywood makes it. And it's hard to put together that it's real this time.
Well, and as it was real, as everybody now knows. You were very close this morning and photographing on assignment for a church when things began to happen. So we're going to show your videotape, if we may, though you're principally a still photographer? Or both?
Still and video.
Okay. Can we just look at what your first video is and explain it to us?
I walked out of Trinity Church after we had a blackout in our studio, and one of the studio managers grabbed one of our cameras when we knew what was happening, and I went out and was shooting Aftermath.
Good God.
And I suddenly saw a plane flying into my viewfinder and said, gee, it's kind of close for that to be here now, and then realized what happened.
Yeah.
And
this is an angle of this attack that we have not seen before. At the top of the building on your left, out of the left, will come the building, and watch how the aircraft penetrates the building. Go ahead. Completely in one side and out the other.
it just disappeared. It disappeared like a bad special effect. It disappeared right into the building. I've seen it 6, 7 times now. It's still incomprehensible what is actually happening there.
And I think you now have a better appreciation than we have had up until now, for which we thank you, Evan, because we see exactly how determined somebody was to do this horrible damage, taking a plane so powerfully and so fast in one side of the building, other. And was there absolute panic immediately?
Instantly. It was just pandemonium.
You're in the same location when the building comes down.
I had been taken downstairs by Port Authority police who knew that I had this videotape. And we were moving actually to go back to the Trinity Church to make them a dub of the tape in a format that they could use on a VHS tape. And suddenly I heard one of the guys say, "Hey, Evan, watch out."
We've been saying that almost nothing has happened so far that someone didn't catch on film, on photograph, on tape, and we have with us right now at the desk 2 of the videographers who were there at critical moments. Kevin Sutterfee, who was there and filmed the aftermath, and you met earlier Evan Fairbanks, who shot one of those crucial scenes, one of those searing scenes of the plane going into the second tower. I'm just going to play again the footage that you shot, Evan, and let you tell us once again, when you looked through your lens and looked up, did you grasp what you were seeing, what the camera was recording?
There was no way I could possibly grasp what I was seeing. I just saw a flash come in on the left of the frame. I saw an airplane. I could identify it as an airplane, and I just thought, what is that doing in this area that's got to be controlled space? And before I finished that thought, it disappeared into the south side of the tower.
You know, it's exactly the thought that we had. We were sitting here on the air live because the first tower had been hit, and we knew something had happened. And we saw that plane come into the frame. We had a little bit more chance to see it before it hit the building than you did, but we saw it come into the frame, and my thought was, well, it's a big plane, but it must be an observation plane. It must be a fire plane. And I thought of the wildfires out west. Maybe it's bringing in water, you know, to fight the fire in the building. The concept that it was going to hit the tower is so foreign to all of us that you couldn't believe what you were seeing. And I still didn't believe it after it happened. Diane said, oh, my God. And I thought, well, that clears up the question of whether or not the first one was an explosion or accidental or whatever. This is a concerted attack on the World Trade Center. But you couldn't believe what you were seeing. No,
absolutely. I still can't believe it, what I'm seeing. I've seen it played back 15 or 20 times. I played it back in my camera 5 times.
Kevin, oh, excuse me. Kevin was there for the aftermath, the sort of counterpart to what you were doing. As we roll this footage, tell us again, as you wandered into the scene, what were you experiencing? You were right in the middle of all of the soot, the ash, the heat.
Basically, what I was experiencing was something I've never seen in my life, basically in person. And I think something that people don't really realize what's going on actually right now in the city. It's like people are walking around outside, sitting at cafes, talking, joking, laughing. It's just disgusting what happened. And I wanted to say about bin Laden, if I heard that he said that he wanted to thank Allah, that he didn't do it, but nobody should be thanked for what happened there. It's ridiculous. It's not.
We saw in your first scenes, we saw the buildings. We saw the architecture, the skeletons of the buildings. When you first went in, did you see people?
No, there's no people anywhere. We were walking around for, I was there all day yesterday and all night, basically, and to find people was very rare. Like, they found 3 people. It's very rare to find people. There's no traces of people. I saw a shoe, and I saw, you know, that's it. There's just too much material.
It looks like an unbelievable movie set, what you saw there.
You can't believe it until you're there. On the TV, it's not even the same. It's, of course, you know. I think you might have walked there. I'm not sure, but
you boil it down to a box that's 21 inches or 24 inches across, and it's not the same.
And as we told everybody last night, when you're walking through it, you're up to way above your ankles, both in the soot and in the paper, the financial documents, and you look down and they have such a plaintive irrelevance to anything important in life as you're making your way through this complete carpeting of financial documents.
And soot
blew out of the window.
But mixed into that is also all these random personal effects, like a pocketbook or a high heel shoe or a glove or something that makes it so human.
Well, as we said, it is a modern phenomenon that almost everything is captured on videotape, and we thank you both for coming in. We've got,
and for bringing us your pictures.
Don't we have John Miller standing by? Did John?
No, John, we have a piece from John Quinones that I think you want to see. Well, it's just, it's a piece that is, oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, it's a piece about the search that goes on and the terror that accompanies it.